She is right here, in the year 24 to 25.
Who is winning right now?
As she leaves, she will slam the door. Up to 60% of the Earth's population.
What does me?
Well, the soul is attached to the negative system and that's it. They just follow the written fate. They can be wonderful people. We will see how. 60% of the Earth's population will be taken away here. All people are either on the dark side or the light side. In general, there are criteria by which one can, in essence, ascertain whether these are light souls or dark souls. In other words, all of humanity is divided into these two main camps, and there's nothing you can do about it. My experience shows that this is indeed the case.
Do we come to a certain side immediately, or do we choose?
In the course of life, a person makes many different choices throughout, and each of these various micro-choices, small decisions, gradually inclines their soul to one side of the scale or the other, influencing their overall balance. Yes, indeed, everyone can get angry. Everyone can, indeed, enter a depressive or nervous state and express themselves negatively in some way. But that does not mean that the person has now taken a step towards evil, and now their soul has tipped the scales towards the negative system. Actually, that's not the case. It's much more complicated, but to put it very briefly, yes, throughout life we make certain choices at what could be considered control points. In other words, there are not many choices in life, and these choices are most often related to a person's manifestation, that is, their attitude towards a given situation. And depending on a person's attitude towards the given situation, it will be determined whether the scales tip one way or another. The negative system essentially has no choice in any way, and therefore no karma. That means it's a bit easier for them because they follow a straight path and don't have any control points. In other words, they basically and essentially simply follow the written fate and nothing can be changed or done. That means everything is written down there, absolutely everything for the undecided and positive souls. There are control points. Due to their choice at this specific control point, it is almost as if either they were following one particular branch, which means fate, so to speak, or he will go down another path. And this, let's say, is a kind of non-linear plot that allows one to reveal either one side or the other of their soul, their essence, in some way, depending on how the person manifests themselves. And depending on the different scenarios and situations a person reviews and what is revealed there, it will indicate whether they will lean more towards the negative system or the positive system in various ways.
Space itself tries to sway us in a certain direction. There is a lot of talk about how people are being lured to the dark side and about the many traps.
The negative system indeed has a very large number of entities. A person is like a small child. They can be very easily deceived, lured with a sweet candy, and there might be, so to speak, a ravine behind the bushes or something else, and the child will fall, not fully understanding what is actually happening, paying attention only to these external manifestations. But the thing is, light souls, although they develop more slowly, in general, have more experience, and thus, they are wiser. They have, let's say, some kind of their own inner system that operates in a way unique to them, with intricate mechanisms and processes that are not easily understood by outsiders. As for these negative entities, well, they just do their thing, following their own set of rules and behaviors that are distinct and separate from others, often acting in ways that are unpredictable and sometimes even chaotic. In other words, it's one thing if they connected without, so to speak, authorization and are imposing on the person. It is always easier to work with such a person. It is always easier for them to go within themselves and start their own transformation. It's a different matter when a person has opened these doors themselves through these substances and they already have full access, meaning they have opened the gateway, the entry points, the access to their inner mechanisms of the soul. Of course, it is still possible to work. it is still possible to pull them out. I am indeed saying that any person can truly be pulled out of any worn-out state and absolutely brought to positive work, to the light side, to work on themselves. If an individual belongs to the positive system or is undecided, if a person is already negative, has been negative for a long time, they won't even be interested in all of this.
And where exactly is the line that determines when a person is already considered to be on the dark side? What really needs to be done to be there?
Well, it's like a computer game, meaning the person themselves is not asked. And he himself does not have such an understanding that there is some kind of boundary, that now he will do this and go one way or the other. Over time, this gradually accumulates step by step, and then during one of the transitions between incarnations, the soul is attached to the negative system, and that's it. In other words, no one asks the person for their specific choice in this matter. In this person, there are now 60 to 80% more negative mechanisms and internal developments. Well, that's it. They took it, turned it on, and it works through a different tree, so to speak, different energy sources. He has no choice, and that's it. He started acting like a robot, following the program precisely as needed.
How can I tell if someone in my surroundings is a dark program? What do they do?
Well, it's generally very difficult, but if we're actually talking about something simple, well, kind of, yes, it's always the initial impulse. It's either the desire to help or the desire to make things harder, to put it very simply, without any of that.
And this is the very identifying mark. To understand who you are, but, in principle, those who are watching. This video cannot be dark souls. They wouldn't be interested.
Most likely, yes, they would have already turned it off. And even if some entities are messing with your head like a prompter, whispering things from behind, or there are some aggressive mechanisms inside, all of this can be overcome.
If a person generally lives on positive vibrations, yes, and sometimes something negative slips through. Does this mean the path has already shifted in the wrong direction? Thus, a light person does not experience negativity at all.
No, that is indeed an incorrect conclusion. In fact, light people sometimes do very strange things, sometimes, occasionally, and I don't know, there they drink, party, fight, and do whatever they want. So, just by the actions a person shows and does, if they express some kind of negativity, it means they are entirely negative. No, that's not the case. I would even say the opposite, that those negative souls who are already firmly on their path and have some serious achievements, they have everything very crystal clear, everything in order. They can be wonderful people, very remarkable people, smiling, they inspire trust, very, very organized, everything. The bed is made, all the shelves are cleaned, everything is in its place, everything is in perfect order everywhere. Indeed, absolutely, definitely. Everything is scheduled, everything is there, everything is routine. Here everything is in place, everything is according to the timetable, not a step to the left or right. This suggests more that the person is working within the negative system. Because light people do not have this rigid control. That is, control is the mind. Mind and control are, in essence, part of the negative system. The mind itself is essentially a device of the negative system. That is, the primary impulse of God is inherently raw potential. He can turn into anything, become anything, and the negative system organizes him if we are talking about subtle worlds and the higher plane. It reaches us already in clear, divided, specific, so to speak, in a manner of speaking, cells. And if a person behaves negatively, it simply means that they are feeling bad at the moment. It does not mean that their soul is in the negative system or the positive system. But the primary impulse of a person, when we see that someone is in danger, or, roughly speaking, someone is in pain, is that a light person will always, without a second thought, without thinking about themselves or the potential danger, run to help and try to help. A negative person will say, ha ha ha.
And it turns out, the more negativity I accumulate, this energy, the more I connect to this egregore, the more my reactions change towards the kind of reactions you mentioned, or I start feeling good from bad things. How can one protect themselves from dark energy and accumulate light energy?
But the fact is that we truly have the light of consciousness. The light that exists within a person is indeed their salvation. That is, meditation and the ability to direct attention inward, like in an empty bamboo. We have a Telegram bot that offers free lessons on how a person can sit down and start meditating. I lead the sessions there and explain everything. Essentially, that is, if we start looking inside ourselves, those negative mechanisms, the adhesions, that are already formed. The way a person is used to doing things, it may not be very good, but they are used to doing it this way, and continue to do so, these mechanical, robotic, negative manifestations of themselves, which other people might have helped them develop. But since the person is inattentive, not used to looking at themselves, not used to meditating, they do not see them, and they begin to form a negative corset inside them, this rigid, false crystallization. To start gradually and carefully unraveling it, you need to focus the light of your own consciousness on your own physical body and your own inner mental world. Our spiritual world is actually very closely connected with the physical body, so all these psychosomatics, all these psychological processes are indeed strongly reflected in the physical body. And as a dedicated healer, as a person who has been diligently and confidently working for more than 20 years to bring the human body into a state of harmoniously balanced order, I can definitely and confidently say that when a person starts observing their breath, observing themselves, immersing their attention inward without preconceived ideas of good or bad, without any internal struggle, without any serious desires like opening the third eye or arranging some kind of mystical journeys. Just looking inside themselves, calming down after some time, they truly come to this point where these negative constructs begin disintegrating. And then step by step, what could have been taken towards negativity collapses, thus moving closer towards illuminating light within one's own consciousness. And it is an immense happiness when a person begins to work on themselves independently, because usually this happens when a person ends up in the hospital, when life and fate have already hit them so hard that he can no longer just walk. That is, everyone put him on a hospital bed, started doing their thing, and he is there dying. And then he begins to look at himself. Only then does he begin to pay attention to himself and think, why did I really do that? And why did things turn out this way? Why did this happen to me actually? It's simple. Everything there is clear and specific. Anyone who thinks this way, if they pay closer attention, will see a very clear system. This step was taken, then this step, then this step, then this one, and then this one. From here came this, and from here came that. All of this has led him to where he is now. In fact, every person is currently exactly in the position they have brought themselves to. And those who came before him, his cells, are like his ancestors, his lineage. All their actions, all his actions, have led the person exactly to where he is now. Our concept of good and evil, our concept of rightness or anything else, they are somewhat distorted in our minds because for a long time, certain things have been imposed on us through marketing and various ideologies and beliefs. In fact, when you reveal your true essence, it becomes clearer to you where good and evil lie. And this doesn't quite align with generally accepted concepts. Well, the main factors are quite simple and clear in the sense that you feel really good. You feel really good existing. It's extremely pleasant to exist. You feel absolutely wonderful. You feel very pleasant, cozy, warm, good, and someone genuinely cares about you. Well, this indicates that you have positive energies, and they are being expressed. If you are feeling heavy, struggling, being pressured, psychologically abused, or physically abused, it indicates that you are full of negative energies and they are manifesting. That's it. As soon as you can change the energies within yourself from one to another or transform some of your problems into a resource, the surrounding space around you will immediately begin to change. This is my experience. In my personal and detailed experience, I don't know. Perhaps maybe there are other options. I certainly don't claim to have all-encompassing ultimate truth, but in fact, my 20 years of working on myself suggests that if I can harness positive potential energies and build a positive structure within myself, it will always result in positive, pleasant experiences for me and also the people around me. And I like giving this care, and I like giving warmth, and I like taking care of my children and my parents, and also helping people and helping everyone, because this help is indeed a manifestation of positivity, truly a manifestation of these good light qualities and qualities of consciousness. Consciousness. You see, if a person's consciousness is activated, if some kind of goodness, inner wisdom is activated, it becomes more like light, right? That is, the light of their consciousness begins to manifest not only in them and their health, but also in the space around them. Indeed, everyone who wants to grow and develop should definitely be interested in how to secure their structure, their system, and of course, you can't just go around giving everything to everyone and spreading light and love to absolutely everything. For example, may all beings be happy, yes. May they all be led to enlightenment. Well, it's a good idea indeed. There are beings, yes, who definitely take pleasure in, for example, killing or torturing you. And if you also give them approval and provide them with energy to do their work, well, a conflict of structures arises here. That is, you will be the first ones they dismantle.
In general, for a long time now, I've had comments saying that good and evil are completely different from how we imagine them, it turns out.
Well, yes. Naturally, for hundreds of years, people have been, in an ideological manner and, in various ways, trying to tell others through religions and other aspects of human expression that good is when you get slapped on one cheek, you should turn the other. This is complete nonsense, and in different forms. What kind of good is this? There is indeed no trace of good here. This is absolutely and utterly absurd and a blatant violation of all existing conceptual and internal foundations, truly. That is, if life itself, here is your body, here is good, it knows, indeed, the body knows.
Can we somehow track what actions are beneficial or detrimental to us, and how these simple actions that we perform affect us?
I strongly believe that the light of consciousness truly and deeply manifests along with the gradual and steady opening of the heart chakra and along with. It's not just about the opening of the third eye, but when a person starts to look not only outward, but also inward, they begin to truly nourish. The structure within them, the light structure, in essence, and deeply. When she accumulates a certain amount of potential, she begins to open her heart chakra on her own, and then the person becomes kind. That's all. In other words, he simply becomes a little bit more kinder and more attentive to people, to life, to manifestations, to the processes happening around him. On one hand, he becomes more gentle, but this is not about fear, but about the fact that a person tries not to interfere or cause harm unnecessarily. And yes, in our life, it is an aspect that can hinder the achievement of results. In other words, people are accustomed to achieving goals. They set a goal, don't see obstacles, and go towards it. Everyone is stepping on each other's heads left and right in this competitive environment. The point here is that if a person really wants to stand out from the gray mass, rise up, and prove themselves, then of course they need to know how to close the fourth chakra. and focus on achieving results effectively and efficiently in their endeavors and aspirations. This is a double-edged sword. If we constantly work towards achieving results, in the end, we will get caught up in the process ourselves, as we are already stepping over others. On the other hand, if we are indeed constantly being overly sweet everywhere, it is also truly hard to say that any extraordinary result will be achieved. It's not that they are not leaders or unmanifested. It's just that, let's say, they are not in leading positions, not in positions of those who need to clearly express themselves and achieve results. I think that this is exactly and precisely where indeed the knowledge and wisdom and depth of the soul lie, understanding when to run, when to stand still, when to act actively, engage, and push through, to achieve one's goals, and when truly it is time to retreat. And, of course, any individual person indeed, including a kind-hearted person who is compassionate and considerate in nature, can make mistakes and push where they really should let go, relax where they truly ought to act. But if a person works on themselves and gains experience, if a person gets results in practice, they increasingly focus on their results, their experience, and analyze more and more. Thus, he reaches the maturity where he activates the mechanism of achievement when it is needed, and the mechanism of relaxation, acceptance, and heartfelt warmth when that is required. This balance allows him to navigate life's challenges effectively and with grace, ensuring he responds appropriately to each situation. A person, indeed, in reality, is life itself. And life itself, it is indeed beautiful and full of love. But in order to remove this love, we must indeed justify something. And the mind, it is truly built in such a way that it actually says I. He says, I am, I exist, and I. And this I, it comes from that initially original living being that is born and truly and deeply attempts to comprehend the world, gaining more knowledge, formulating concepts about itself, starts to more rigidly and more firmly enter into the notion of what I am truly like. And these I am like this appear many times over a period of time. That is, for my mom, I manifest as I am like this. For my friends, I am different. For girls, I am another. And for my children, I am yet another. To manifested work as I am, someone else, many masks, many personalities. Many sub-personalities arise, so to speak. Indeed, every single one of them is like an individual person with their own unique priorities, tasks, goals, type of thinking, and mind. And the more rigidity there is in these sub-personalities, the stronger the developed mechanisms of this false crystallization within a person, the more the person leans towards the negative system, because over time these mechanisms integrate, the mechanisms of the soul merge with them, and they can no longer be easily removed. I had episodes where I interacted with very strong and wealthy people. And a person admitted to me, yes, Valentine, you are right. I actually understand that you are right, but this is who I am. I won't change anymore. And so, telling me this, I saw, and the person saw, that we have indeed reached the point beyond which a person cannot develop further. More precisely, a person can develop, but not into my hierarchy, not where I lead people, not into that system. It can only develop into densification, into stricter total control, burden, and distribution. That is, the main principle of the negative system is destruction, control, and systematization. Systematization, control, destruction, justify why to destroy, justify why it is wrong, and ultimately lead to the point of killing. Any egocentric withdrawal, the inability to question oneself. For example, I realized that perhaps I am indeed wrong, in fact, truly. And if I can clearly and concisely convey the theory, expand it in practical applications, show it here and there in various contexts, explain it in terms of different energies, I will agree. I don't know it is very important in theory, in any theory, that this theory can review itself. Indeed, this is self-development. That is, in essence, I, like an algorithm, reevaluate myself, my own code, and where I see an error, I change it, becoming more perfect. Thus, yes, I am indeed slowing down my aging processes. In this way, I am moving towards being able to channel those energy potentials through myself, to carry everything I already have, and to continue growing and developing further. Because I actually have a few more projects that I haven't told anyone about. It's very valuable when a person has the opportunity to reassess themselves.
How do you look within yourself? What does it mean to look within yourself? What does it signify?
Well, look. I suggest, let's say, taking an analogy. You say, how do you swim? Well, figuratively. There you are, swimming underwater, saying, like this, yes, this is how I swim. And they ask me, how do you swim? I say, well, to start with, you need to somehow get used to the water. Here and there with water. Learn to stay afloat. Learn to spend some time in the water. Then, yes, you need to learn to dive. And then, when you can both swim and dive, you need to learn to do it like this. Freestyle, I don't know, all sorts of different styles. Yes, and then it will somehow turn out to dive there. In reality, if a person wants to dive deeply into something, they need to learn to keep their attention focused inward. In other words, this is practice, it is work on oneself, and at first, it will not bring any pleasure. On the contrary, it is a burden. It is stress, a shock to the mind. The mind is used to processing information. It is its food. He's definitely having a blast. He really sees, oh, what an interesting thing, this phone. In reality, what actually happens is that when one starts to not perceive and process and comprehend and understand information, you close your eyes, you sit down. Nothing happens at all. He begins to reveal what is on the surface for him, what is truly relevant for you right now, at this very moment. Right away, you'll remember that you forgot to call someone. Right away, you'll remember that you forgot to write something. Well, such everyday matters. Something else there, some processes, here it itches, and suddenly everything starts to itch, somewhere else. A million things that will distract you. But this is the reality. Start with 20 minutes. Or, again, as I mentioned, we are currently doing meditations on our Telegram channel. That is, 3 days a week I usually go live on air. We all gather together, typically. I form this circle, see everyone, we sit down, and I activate the flows and work with people. This is a serious, very serious practice. Practically, we gathered in the ashram, sat down with incense and mantras, and began doing inner work. This is a very important process for a person to simply learn to maintain attention. That is, you don't need to do anything there. You don't need to immediately grab at something because your shoulder is being pulled or something hurts here, or because sitting is uncomfortable. It's not like that. It's natural. That's the only way it can be if you have never sat down and looked inside. Everything is there, and it is sustained by your mental tension. So, let's say you're worried that your neighbor stepped on your cat's tail, well, figuratively speaking. And you see, he does it periodically. There's nothing you can do. You are there, you said, no, I didn't do it. And it's like, yes, this anxiety, it's inside, it has sunk there, into the subconscious, and it holds some deep muscles there. They press, they push, they kind of shake a person from the inside, but the person justifies it to themselves. Well, it's just, the weather is like that, so the situation in the world is unstable, and other things, and that's why I'm stressed. Even if they see this tension, in reality, people don't see it. They are looking at their phones. And that's it, and they are only there, either there or somewhere else. Even right now, as you look, you can't see the back of your head. You don't feel your tailbone, sacrum, calves, or feet. And if it's not you there, then who, really? Attention, your attention, is what brings inspiration. That is, you fill your spirit with your attention and energy when you take a conscious breath by focusing deeply on the present moment and allowing yourself to be fully immersed. Here it is. The energy has truly arrived. And when it comes, it's like gold, flowing through the veins, filling the cells. The cells are rejoicing. They feel your attention. They understand that they are valuable. They are being cared for. They are being observed. There is actually a lot hidden and tangled up there already. It all needs to be unraveled. Otherwise, it will turn into illnesses. That's it. These diseases will circulate for a while. And then they will become rigid structures that will pull into the negative system. So, what is the point? We must work through the dysfunctions within ourselves and in our surroundings. By working through these dysfunctions, we move away from the dark side, we move away from destruction, and we go towards the light, towards creation, towards goodness, love, and care for ourselves and our loved ones. So, that's how it concluded.
We will leave the link in the description below the video. Feel free to check it out.
It's very easy. You simply click on the bot, and everything is written there. Your products and bonuses are just there. You click there and all are free. Meditation should also be there as well. We are gradually updating it, so friends, this is a very interesting space. I have also uploaded some of my paid meditations there, which I believe provide significant benefits, so I do not have the right to offer them for free.
Who is winning right now? How is this struggle going?
We are heading towards some kind of resolution now. As I see it, either this planet will collapse, something will happen. Something will happen now in 2024 to 2025, up to 60% of the Earth's population. That is, something will definitely happen, and it is definitely easiest to assume that it will be some kind of nuclear activities. Of course, those who managed to set up bunkers are smart. The main thing now is to load into them in time. Try to distance yourself as much as possible from potential locations, or it might possibly land. That's all. Just logically engage your mind and think, could it come here? Probably, it could. If it could, get out of there. That's all. Well, that's it, and I can't advise or recommend anything else to you in terms of any restructuring is happening. It will be specific. This is evident to everyone who can see. It's right here already. Something will be happening with this planet in 2024 to 2025. A large number of people are leaving. It's true. Everyone who wants to stay alive, as I have already said, at the very least needs to start using their intuition. And this is an open heart and an open sixth chakra. For this, one needs to work on oneself, at least start. Because now everything is very fast, and there are such unique individuals, you just tell them, look over there, yes, and this, yes, take a breath. Oh, and what do you see? And the person immediately starts describing everything. Everything just clicks for them right away. You need to start. No one knows what might be tangled or untangled, what structures and so on. In any case, paying attention inward always yields a positive result. Always enlivens the body, always enlivens the subtle bodies, always brings light and joy inside your organism. So here is an empty bamboo. I say, this is the practice that needs to be done exactly as I say, because with regular meditation, people still look with closed eyes, not understanding the difference between meditation and, well, you know.
Empty Bamboo is a free meditation available through the link below the video.
Yes, Empty Bamboo is a free meditation that we provide, and I give it to everyone and say that it doesn't matter what kind of Reiki you use, cosmic energy, or any other channels. If you don't have a base of empty bamboo, it's not that important. That is, it is important to understand yourself, to understand that there is the sky and there is the earth. I am the one who opens up to them and channels energy and information through myself. And then the information starts to unpack in your consciousness, and it becomes more and more clear where to apply your hands and how to create an inner smile so that your whole body fills with joy, even the tips of your toes, which are often neglected, because usually they are neglected and they suffer. and when neglected, everyone suffers.
Is this a deliberate transition? Is that how it looks, specifically to filter out those who didn't make it? Or why is this happening? Or has the darkness just gotten out of control, and we are suffering?
Well, originally, yes, from some century like the 12th century, or maybe the 10th century, it happened that darkness got out of control. And it didn't just get out of control. Well, now we're going into mythology, friends, where the devil split off from God or something like that happened. Yes, he started his own thing. Here, as they say, the details are secondary. The point is that as above, so below. In other words, essentially, the order among people is the same as the order above. That's how the sequence of events happened, in the same manner. And now, that dominant, bright, pure essence, which indeed gave life to everything, including evil, is finally, truly beginning to take back all the reins of control into its own hands itself. Therefore, as I said, there appear people, special people, very strong people, who have a lot of power in their hands in terms of the subtle plane and influence on this subtle plane. Many entities help, positive entities, light ones, which are not inferior to dark entities, and in some ways even surpass them. And at this moment, a war between good and evil is taking place on a subtle plane. There is currently a war between the negative system and the positive hierarchy, and many entities of the negative system are currently being shut down. And, accordingly, they cannot influence those people who are already connected to them. And, accordingly, these people become kindred, these people become lighter on their own. Why? Because someone closed off that essence which was indeed oppressing them, giving them that intense negative energy, truly giving them negative energy to kill, evil, to wish harm upon others. And now this energy no longer reaches them, and they become kinder. They become softer. I would say that, in reality, not much depends on people. It depends more on those who are already developed and who are already involved in these processes. And besides the life that exists here in this place and the various activities they exhibit here, they also create new life there. And because all of this also requires time, all of this also requires attention. There are friends, enemies, and indeed a lot of other things. Naturally, those people who are currently working on restructuring are overloaded. On the other hand, these are incredibly wise, very ancient, strong souls who are indeed ready to bear the burden and, essentially, knew where they were going, sign up for it, and are doing their work, so to speak. You know, like, in any fight, any prediction is still just mere speculation. And guesswork, you know. Yes, both sides get their share. Yes, indeed, there is a lot of significant conflict, and let's say the negative system loses a considerable amount of power. And what does power and the feeling of power mean? This is what the negative system, by the way, uses to hook people, the feeling of strength and the feeling of power. A person really likes it. Let's say, if a person feels this power and strength, like wow, indeed, this actually takes him far away from himself and is not entirely correct. If we talk about global processes, then as I see it, everything will inevitably be reorganized. The negative system, as it exists, is inevitable. It will cease to exist. But when she leaves, she will definitely slam the door. And the question is, what kind of slam will it be? Will she slam it so hard that the whole house falls apart? Or will she slam it in a way that is unpleasant but not catastrophic? This is the result of these 1.5 years. That's 24 to 25. So, Everything is just about to happen and begin, and we will see how these 60% of the Earth's population will be taken, indeed. Cataclysms or what, or how, or nuclear events, or what, but something specific, or maybe some diseases, or some kind of Schumann resonances. And here, as they say, from all sides everything is indeed leading to something worldwide and global in nature. And then eventually, the world will change dramatically. Then everything will be arranged exactly as it was on Earth. The years when everything was good.
Into harmony, into the light go.
Well, I think so. There are people who are wise and light souls. There are Mahatmas who can lead a large number of people and manage numerous processes simultaneously. Then there are souls who are suited for other things. They are less developed and cannot perform this function. And even if they somehow got in there by deceit and are trying to perform these roles, well, they just can't handle them, plain and simple. As a result, they end up destroying both themselves and everything around them. That's all. In other words, strength and power alone are not enough for governance. It's not enough to have this feeling of, I'll just cut off everyone's heads here. Well, you cut them off, then what? That's not governance. Manage in such a way that everyone lives in joy and harmony and happiness and thanks each other and those who govern them. Wow, then there will be wonderful blessings. Then everyone will be deeply grateful and everyone will be extremely happy and smile at each other because they know that the light of this person's consciousness truly brings goodness to me. Indeed, absolutely. And then thank you will sound genuine because the person is truly grateful. And now the person says thank you, but what's inside them? They can't see themselves, you understand.
Can you give such recommendations to everyone for the next year and a half? The first recommendation is to go into yourself on bamboo, right?
We will have a second one. Friends, your intuition is indeed the fundamental key to everything, and your intuition is truly your heart. It really encompasses all of your knowledge. The heart knows. It doesn't need anything, no arguments. You ask it, and it knows right away. And this is indeed the most valuable thing in a person. If this is not revealed, then everything else is just from the mind, and there will be this and that, which is correct. The mind is also healthy and correct, but if it is without the heart, it belongs to the negative system. In other words, a mind without a heart is a negative system, friends. Here is the formula. The mind together with the heart is indeed wisdom. It is truly enlightenment, and it is love.
Empty bamboo for the viewers. Let me remind you that these are practices available through the meditation practice link, via the link under the video. Go ahead and check it out.
Yes, a Telegram bot that contains our courses in meditations, which you can find there. And so, I give the empty bamboo for free to everyone so that people can start working on themselves, so that they can begin to turn on their light of consciousness and become enlightened, so that their intuition, their inner response, and their understanding of how to move forward and work on themselves can come to them